Hello, parents of incoming sixth graders to Risdon Middle School. My name is Molly Ewing, and I teach orchestra at Risdon. I'm extra excited this year. I also have an incoming sixth grader, so this is extra fun to be able to share the information about our enrichment classes with your student and families. The first thing to know when you're planning out the schedule for middle school is that we have year-long versus trimester electives. So a year-long elective means that in each of our 3 trimesters, your student will have the same class. So you'll see there that it's really to build on what they learn. Band, choir, orchestra, publications, and yearbook are all really working all year towards a goal of playing better, producing a product. So it's really important that students have the full year to develop that. A trimester elective functions more as a rotation. So you'll notice that there's art, leadership, drama, and world events, and a student would take one of those each of the 3 trimesters. So they have more of an opportunity to try things out their 6th grade year. A special note, this one's really important, especially for those kids who are in year-long electives, that in the 7th and 8th grade year, they'll have more room in their schedules. So my students always love this, that they're able to take more electives, so they can continue to take a year-long elective, but they'll also have more room to add something else. So if they've always wanted to try art, or they really are interested in world events, those are options that are available to them. But there's also more. There's tech ed, family and consumer sciences, and Spanish. So if you notice that there were some electives that were missing, it's probably because they're for 7th and 8th grade students. And we keep the 6th grade year a little bit more streamlined just because there's a lot to get used to anyway, and they have to fit in some of their electives with health and that. So it gives them an opportunity to just really get used to the middle school environment. I will start with our year-long electives. So we'll start with music. There's band, choir, and orchestra. As it mentions there, year-long, we do have them at each of the levels. So there's beginning, intermediate, and advanced. A special note with choir, our choir has a girls' choir and a boys' choir. They'll often perform together at performances, but they also have classes separately and will perform separately as well. So our boys' choir is fabulous. So you just can't miss with that. Beginners are welcome in any of the classes. So there is no prior instrument experience needed. What they have learned in their general music classes, they all have fabulous general music classes, will really translate to what they are learning in the music classes at Risdon. Students do have instrument choice even after school starts. So as long as they know if they want to do orchestra or band, when they're in one of those classes, they can wait to try out those instruments. We didn't really have a chance to do that this year. So they can try out those instruments and see what they like. If they're unsure whether they want to play violin or cello, or maybe they've never played a string bass before, this is the opportunity to do that. Students can provide their own instrument, but we do have rentals, especially for those families with a financial need. They're very accessible, and we work with families who might need those. So I never want that to be something that holds a student back from playing. We'll make sure that they have an instrument. We have a lot of support from community organizations, but also from our school to make sure that we can make that happen for them. You'll notice try to watch out for low-cost instruments. Sometimes they are too good to be true. So maybe check with your teacher before you decide to purchase an instrument, because some of them do come in different sizes. You'll notice students in the music programs, they just develop such a dynamic, school life, and over the 3 years that they're in the programs, they just have such lasting friendships that they've created. Really important to note, as I said, that these are our beginning classes in 6th grade. This is where we want students to start, so that by 7th grade and 8th grade, they get to take intermediate and then advanced. So I would really encourage, if your student's interested, to start now. It's a really good chance. They also will be performing very quickly, so you'll be impressed by how much they learn in a short amount of time. So you'd be looking forward to those evening performances. It's always such a highlight. So moving on, we have our other two year-long electives. Yearbook is one and publications is a different one. They used to be a combined class, so if you have older students, you may be used to seeing them combined. This year they are going to be separated. So Yearbook will take care of our end of year product, the Apex, and do a lot of work, as they even mentioned that, you know, there is a lot to plan and create and interview, and they work with all kinds of programs and come out with just a fantastic product. But it does take work, and they do want to make sure students are, you know, understand what it's going to take. So they do have publications and yearbook application that you can click on the screen there to take you to that. Publications takes care of our monthly magazine, which is really fun to look at. Each month that it comes out, it's like, going to be in it this time. So that's called the Howler. And the Howler, the students plan out, they come up with ideas that they want to share, talk about current events, talk about things that the kids are interested in. And that gets distributed throughout the year. There's frequent deadlines, a lot of writing, working with cameras, but again, has a really cool product. And it's one of those things, again, as a year-long course that just as the year goes, so does their, they develop their writing, their, just the product. So very similar to what we're doing in music, they are also building towards those products. Next up is our first of our trimester electives, and that is art. So art explores all sorts of different types of art using different media. Our art teacher has a fabulous room to work with. I always see kids really excited going in and out, and has you know, club after school that any kid can join, and they have a lot of fun in there. They work, you know, as it says there, self-expression, communicating themes. And, you know, I noticed they work with clay, and so a lot of times we'll have the little clay footprints leaving the classroom. But they will also get to experience that. Art is exciting also because there are different levels of that. So if a student is really into art, there is more than one art class. There's art 2 and 3 as well. So something to look forward to if your student is really interested in art. Next, on this slide, you'll find our 3 others. So we have Intro to Leadership. They use a curriculum called Character Strong and just really focus on relationships, how to be a stand-up member of the community, who are stand-up members of the community, and they really delve into what makes a person, you know, able to communicate, able to reflect on what skills they have, that kind of thing. So that happens in our Intro to Leadership. And then the next year, 7th and 8th grade, I should add, they do have our leadership class. So this kind of prepares them for, you know, being even more out in the school community. And it's just a way for them to be involved in that school kind of environment. After that is drama. So they do different skills. They learn movement, nonverbal skills. They work on sets, and they just learn how to work together, how to prepare something for a performance. And those presentation skills, it's always fun to see them working on those and doing some of their warm-ups together. So it's been a really fun class to have at our school. The last is World Events and Issues. So this is great for those students who are always looking at what's going on in the world, what the impact of different things are, just those different social studies topics in a global perspective, and just really becoming aware of what's going around in the world. So that is the wrap up of those, again, year-long and trimester electives. If you have any questions, there are contacts here. If it's about how to fit a schedule together, our registrar, Christy Bressler, is really the person to go to for that, how to make things work. She's amazing at it. And then we have things listed, contacts. If you have any questions for people, feel free to email. We're all around and checking that regularly. So we'd be happy to really guide your student into the best choice for them. So thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing your student at RISD next